All right, morning, everyone. We got a special live stream today. We got Curtis, PE turned RE, and we got the son of Alex Dutter, a one rent at a time, school community member, and he's more better looking and a lot more fun.
Oh,
Oh no.
oh, geez. I think Alex heard that and cut him off.
Yeah, I know he cut me off. How do you do that? But we do have Adam Dutter here, so it's gonna be a fun one because Adam is gonna be attending the one rental at a time event in Vegas, taking advantage of Zuber's wonderful generosity of offering the free event for teenagers. But welcome, Adam and Curtis.
Thank you very
Thanks for
much.
having
Good
us.
morning.
Yeah, so this should be fun, man. I think we wanted to get a hold of you before you actually went to the event, and we'll probably do a live stream after the event to see what your thoughts were. And but yeah, so Curtis, did you have any questions for Adam? Or actually, Adam, real quick, why don't you give the audience quickly who you are, how old you actually are, and heading into this event, where are you at as far as your financial journey?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Adam Dutter. I am a student at Western Washington University. I'm going to school to be an educator. Right now, it's elementary education is my major, but I'm going to get my master's and probably end up teaching high school at that point. I'm getting an endorsement in math and physics, so I can teach both math and physics. Financially, I stayed home last year. I had a full ride scholarship to the community college in my town. So I stayed home, got my AA in a year, and I worked at the naval shipyard in the town that I live in. I saved $30,000 and I came to school and I am paying directly out of pocket, uh, trying to get out of school debt free and trying to set myself up for financial freedom eventually.
Very nice.
Nice.
Nice. The one thing I do want to ask before we move along is this financial journey kind of, was it already on the top of your mind, or has your dad been talking to you about it? I mean, was this something, a change of heart, or
It's a mix of both. If you ask him, he'll tell you that I've been dodging his ways since day one, and that is the truth, honestly. I mean, he always tells me when I hear things from him, I'm gonna deny it. When I hear things from other people, it'll sound more right. But yeah, no, he's really been the inspiration for a lot of that. He's obviously the rentals he has. I grew up like helping with those and working to get to the point where he's where he's at. Um, and seeing that all my life, it makes it pretty easy to want to do it myself, I guess.
Nice. Now, I've seen most of your dad's is properties. Was there ever a moment, or maybe after a tenant came through, that you walked through and you're like, "Oh hell no, I'm not getting involved in any of that."
Yeah, I'll tell you a fun story. Real. I'll try and condense it real fast. But basically, we were working on a house in Allen, Washington, and his tenants just basically there was a huge flea problem, and I fucking hate fleas. I hate fleas so much, and so we that was really gross. That was the one time I was like, I don't think I could ever do this. I could never deal with a tenant. I could never do that. And I was young too. Like this was very early on in my. I would think I was probably 9 or 10. So that's you can tell the idea started forming back then, but they were also kind of on the brink of not happening at that point.
Nice. And we don't often think of teachers and financially free. So how do you kind of handle that thought?
Um, I believe two things. One, um, you know this obviously, but teachers in this area specifically in the Washington bubble of Seattle, they get paid really well compared to teachers in a lot of other states and places. With that in mind, I believe that your own financial situation is kind of on you. I think I know a lot of teachers that make um, us less money, I guess you could say, in air quotes, and they've set themselves up great. And it's just a matter of how you spend your money and how smart you are with your money and things of that nature.
I wanna know one thing real quick though. Are you familiar with one rental at a time and Michael Zuber, or did your dad kind of have to present who Michael Zuber is to you?
That my dad had to show me who that was. Just honestly, a couple months ago, I went over and He sat me down and we watched some YouTube and uh, got a little bit of a feel for what was going on. He showed me the whole ORaaT layout and everything, so it's pretty cool
Was
stuff.
was there was there any other financial channels or people that you were following before? Kind of your dad presented one run at a time to you.
There's only one, and I don't even know his name, which makes me I feel silly now, but um, he's this big old meathead gym bro. He's always talking about how he owned a gym, and that was like he thought that was what he wanted to do, but it wasn't. And I'm forgetting his name now. I could probably find it.
Alex Hormozy.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Curtis, you got anything real quick or?
Yeah, I just was seeing if there's anything in the chat. Um, so when your dad brought up the event idea, what were your initial thoughts there?
Ooh, I'll tell you what. Initially, I was really panicked because I wasn't sure what this quarter was going to look like for me. I wasn't sure what my attendance stuff was, so I was really worried about school. He called me and he was like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And I said, "I have to figure my stuff out first. Like, let me get there." And then once I got there, I told him I was like, "I am interested, but I'm interested." What did I say? I said, I'm interested because I think it's a good learning opportunity, but I'm more interested because I know that it's something that you want to share with me, like, it's something you're excited about. So, um, a lot of this inspiration comes from him driving the idea. You could talk to him all day, and he would tell you, like, "Oh, Adam doesn't listen to me at all," but, uh, truth of the matter is I do, I just pretend not to because he can be my dad. So
Oh yes, I definitely know with what you're talking about because we drove all the properties and then we had lunch and exactly what you said is what he said too. He's like, "Yeah, Adam don't be listening to me, man."
sounds right.
Nice.
Well, here's a great accidental landlord says, "I wish I had half the maturity that Adam has at his age."
Thank you very much. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Now, to that, maybe to that point, what do your friends think when you tell them you're going to this event?
Um, to be honest, most of them just don't understand it, and that's kind of expected at my age. I think I left this part out earlier, but I'm only 19. So a lot of my friends are still figuring it out. Um, a lot of them are like a lot of my friends actually are all here on either like scholarship or their parents pay for a lot of stuff. I find that I'm one of few people that are really paying out of pocket for this kind of stuff. So when I tell them about the event, they kind of just brush it off or don't really ask too many questions. But I think they would all learn a lot if maybe they asked me a little more.
Did you try and convince any of your other friends to come?
I did not. That's on me. I just I was under the impression that I was invited personally and I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. There was one friend actually at work. I was talking to him about it because his goal is financial freedom. His dad's a lot like mine. And we were both working at Costco together and he was discussing it and I told him I'd send him some of the information, but I I never got around to it, unfortunately.
Nice, yeah. Mark, and I think you were off camera when me and Adam talked about this before the live, but I actually went to his school for about 2 quarters. I'm pretty familiar with that area and and the people there. A lot of the people at that school are not the biggest capitalist fans.
Correct.
So sometimes talking about probably him maybe being a landlord or his dad being a landlord may not always be the most popular topic there.
Yeah, that
Well,
is
well, well, Adam, I heard you mention financial freedom a few times already. But so at 19, or maybe how would you describe what financial freedom is to you, or what is the end goal kind of look like?
the end goal. Oh man, that's a good question. Um, for me, financial freedom means I don't want to have to rely on anyone else but myself for my financial sake. I don't want to, um, despite wanting to be a teacher and all that, I want to be able to get to the point where maybe, my rental income is more than um, my working income. You know what I mean? I can live a life without having to work every single day. Um, I think um, the end goal, everybody says generational wealth, and that's it for me. I want to be able to send my kids to school without even thinking about it. I want to be able to, well, maybe not without even thinking about it, but make it a little easier for them. I want to be able to, I don't know, be the vacation grandpa one day. That's the end goal.
Like that. I think a lot of people in the chat are commenting, yes, Alex, seems like Alex did a great job raising his son, Adam. Those of you that are tuning in, we are talking to Adam Dutter, Alex's 19-year-old son. Adam is going to be attending the Vegas event to take advantage of Zuber's generosity. And I did see earlier in the chat, Cody Davis was tuning in, and Cody Davis is kicking off the event, Gen Z speaker, Saturday morning. And a lot of the teenagers that are attending the event will have the opportunity to sit down with Cody. Are you familiar with who Cody Davis is?
I know who he is. I don't know a ton about him. I'm excited to learn from him. I know that. I'm excited to sit down and talk with him. My dad has told me he's one of the youngest people he's met that's in the position he's in. And that interests me a lot, clearly. I mean, the sooner I'm financially free, the better. So I'm really intrigued to talk to him. But I'm curious if you can give me a quick rundown, just so I'm 100% familiar, if you're okay with that.
Curtis, you want to give Cody's rundown?
Yeah, so to my knowledge, he's actually from the Tacoma area. But when he was 18, he got some units. I think he had like 18 or 12 units over in Grant County, kind of like Moses Lake is, and then he got up to a point where Mark he was probably up to like 180.
I think he was up to 250 at one point.
Yeah,
Unit?
250, kind of all through seller financing, through partnerships, and now he's starting to right size his portfolio, get out of the partnerships, and have the right amount of cash flow, with the least amount of units, type of thing. And he's a little bit younger than me. I think he's 25 or 26 now, and I believe he's financially free.
Nice. That's really awesome. That is huge, huge for
Yeah.
Cody. Wow.
So,
Yeah.
I'm sure your dad is gonna probably have you come prepared, but I definitely would take the opportunity to pick Cody's brain. He definitely wise beyond his years is a simple way to put it. And if you have the opportunity to sit down with him and ask him questions, I definitely would go in there and pick his brain as much as possible.
Yeah,
Um,
his wife is also very sharp too. I forgot what her name was, but I met her at an event that they hosted, and she's also financially free. She made her portfolio in Tennessee. I think she has like 12 units ish down there, and she was able to get free with that amount too.
Nice. That's huge. Good for them.
Yeah.
the accidental landlord is asking Adam, how old were you when you learned the value of money?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say between the ages of 15 and 16. My working story is kind of honestly earlier than that, actually, probably closer to like 12 or 13. For a long time, I was doing landscaping at the rentals that my dad owns. I would go and the tenants would usually charge like, or sorry, I would charge about $50 per session, whatever I was doing, whether it was mowing or just cleaning or all the things. Quite a bit of money for what I was doing, but it was good work. So I was happy to be doing it. Uh, and that was kind of my first taste of money. That was the like, ooh, I have money, I can spend it. But then I started spending it on silly things like candy bars, video games, things that I find joy in, but probably shouldn't be spending my money on when I should be saving for things. So it wasn't until I was working at Crumble Cookie for a little while. That was my first job out the gate, like on a payroll system. Um, and that was when it kind of first hit me. I started driving, started spending money on gas. I was driving a gas guzzler, so it was like just a lot of money. Um, And then I started working at the shipyard my junior year of high school, but or it was my summer between my junior and my senior year. I was doing an internship there. That was my first paycheck that was over $1,000. That was huge for me. And then I started saving. I knew I wanted to go to school. I knew I wanted to get a better car. I knew I wanted to do a bunch of things. So started saving. And it wasn't until I started saving big time that I really realized the value of money and how quick it can go if you're not smart about it.
Hmm. Nice. So it kind of seems like you've always kind of been in like an employee role, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So would you say you lean more towards like the employee versus the entrepreneur path?
I don't like that ideology. I really
Mm.
personally, um, I don't want to be working for people my entire life. I think being a teacher gives me a little bit of freedom. Obviously, you work for the school system, you work, but you get to be the leader of a classroom. You get to do the things, and that's huge to me in my position as an employee. But I want to get to the point where I don't really have to work for anyone else. It'd be cool to work for myself.
Mhm.
I do see All Nighter Hider in the chat, and actually, so last year his son was also able to attend the event. I'm not sure if his son is coming this year. I forget. But yeah, his son had a great time. I think he just absorbed a lot of information. The one thing I do want to know is, I mean, what do you think learning this stuff early actually matter, or why do you think learning this stuff early actually matters so much?
That's another great question. Um, I think learning it now makes me think about it throughout the rest of my life, and that seems kind of like a broad answer, but I think if I spent the next 5 years of my life really focusing in on this idea of financial freedom and how I can achieve it, the next 5 after that are gonna be easier, and the next 5 after that are gonna be easier, and so on and so forth. I think that, getting the ball rolling now is I think it's the perfect time, really. I think I'm finally springing into adulthood. I'm living on my own. I'm doing well, besides roommates, of course. I'm living on my own. I'm finally away from the home, and I think I mean, the sooner that I can I've said it a few times now, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but the sooner I can be working for myself and be financially free, the better. So why not start now?
Mm. So with that said, then what made you think, oh, you know what? I want to work for myself, but I'm also going to be a teacher.
That is another. My dad likes to likes to joke about that one too. Um, the the reality of it is I just have a passion for it. I love teaching. It's one of the greatest opportunities. I love working with kids. I think it's a good opportunity to expand my thinking, expand my perspectives. That's one thing I'm learning a lot about that right now is just the different perspectives you can gain from different families, different students. And I think that'll help me in the future. Really, I think if I want to be a landlord, I have to be open to other people's ideas, cultures, everything. So I think being a teacher opens a lot of doors for that, and it's what I want to do. It makes me happy. So if
Nice.
I'm going to be working, oh, sorry.
Nice. I think you're gonna be surprised on how much crossover there is from being a teacher and being a landlord.
I honestly hope so. I hope to be surprised. I really do.
There's a ton of crossover, and you don't really like. I feel like if people don't know about teaching, that they're not going to think that there's a lot of crossover, but there's a ton.
Yeah. I also think it's good. I mean, you could find this at most places, most jobs. However, I think in my previous work experience, I didn't experience as much of it as I had hoped, but just experience talking to people, exposure to social environments, I think is huge for like you got to be a people person to be a landlord. Oh my goodness, the better people person you are, I think the better you'll be at it. So
Yeah, and if you can talk to teenagers at 8 in the morning, you can talk to a tenant. You know.
exactly.
I do want to ask you, so a lot of times your dad, when he introduces himself to the community or, sometimes in the different Zoom calls, he'll always say, he never thought of himself as a landlord or investor, right? So that's why his handle, if you haven't seen, is the accidental investor, right?
Yeah.
But also, there's some strange times going on with the economy and government shutdown and things like that, right? So has that had an impact on you? Because I know your dad had to, I guess, works for the government, and he always brings up now how his rental portfolio has helped him kind of weather the storm a little bit, right? So did that open your eyes to how kind of risky just having maybe one stream of income or something is?
Absolutely. So for starters, I think I stepped away from that job as at the shipyard perfect timing because I would have been astronomically screwed at the time, like beyond my britches. It would have been terrible. And in my dad's case, I think that that is the perfect example of why you should have more than one form of income, because I think he could correct this knowledge, but this is just how I see it. With his working income, he makes a living. With his other income, he passes that. You know what I mean? Um, when one goes away, he's back to just base level, like, oh shit, I gotta I gotta sort things out because I don't have the extra play money. And so with that, um, I think it's important to be able to have both because this was also a safety net, you know what I mean? Having that extra income, it's helpful because you know you'll be safe. When you get here and you're kind of in the zone of like, "Ooh, what's going on?" Like, that's not a good spot to be. That's not where I wanna be, that's for sure. So,
I'm going to skip over Steve's question real quick. We'll get to that right after this. But your dad is asking, says, Adam, mention your mom and Brian.
absolutely. Okay. My mom and Brian, that's my mom and my stepdad, lovely people. They also work at the shipyard, and I think that could be a good example, um, of oh, yeah, of what it looks like when you don't have that extra income. And I won't go into their financial business, that's definitely their story to tell. However, I will say when the shutdown happened, it was kind of a scary moment because that's my mom, my stepdad, and my little brother Luke in a house where there's no income. And fortunately, um, they had their finances set up in a way that they stayed afloat, but especially near the end, it got a little scary. Like we could no longer go and do the there were how do I word this right? There were just things that we had to say no to, unfortunately, that we probably couldn't always say no to. Um, and that was, um, that I don't know, I think that's a good example, a prime example of that, government shutdown affecting people who don't have that second income.
Mm. So when you go to this event, I'm guessing you're gonna go early and like your dad is, right?
I can't come out till Friday evening, so I won't be
Oh, okay.
I'll probably be there like, I'll probably make my first appearance Saturday.
Okay, okay.
Quickly though, have you been to Vegas before?
I have not.
It's probably good you're not going any longer then. Probably just going to focus on staying at for the event.
Yeah, it's a good thing I'm not 21 because if I could gamble, I don't know if you'd be able to pull me out.
So,
um, go ahead.
what are you hoping to get from the event besides talking to Cody?
Honestly, just overall, perspective. That's the big thing. Perspectives from all sorts of people. I know there are a lot of people at this event that have a lot more money than I do. And I mean, just learning different stories, different ways to get there. I mentioned before, my dad's way of doing it's great. Doesn't mean that's how I want to do it. You know what I mean? So maybe hearing some other perspectives and learning a little more about financial freedom and how they got there. That's yeah.
Well, on that point, would you say real estate is at the top of your list right now as the path, or is it maybe stocks? Is it Bitcoin? I mean, at your age, I think a lot of people are into crypto and Bitcoin, right? So would you say real estate is at the top of your list right now, or you're still trying to figure that out?
To me, real estate seems to be the safest, and the most like I said, I grew up in it, so it's the most routine. I figure it'll be the easiest for me to get into. Um, Stocks to me seems and this is I don't wanna offend anyone, but to me, at my current point, it seems like, socially acceptable gambling. So I have to be weary. I think there are safe stocks, and I think that I can invest in those and set myself up nice now. But there's a lot of, like, I have a friend who does what he calls day trading, or what everyone calls day trading. I'm sure I know you have heard of it. And he's made 80 grand just this month. Um, but something like that is a little scarier to me than maybe real estate is.
Nice. And yeah, exactly what you're talking about is why I did not go that path. So my first year of teaching was COVID. So I graduated college in 2020, and so my first year teaching, we kind of did like a hybrid. Like we started virtual, and then we went to half day, right? And so, but I was watching all the older teachers watch their retirements that were tied to stocks go like crazy, right? Up, down, sideways, and I kind of sat back at 21 to 22 and saying, "Oh, that's not going to be for me. I don't ever want to have some unknown factor dictate when I can or cannot retire." And so that's kind of why I chose like the real estate path too.
Absolutely.
So
For
Steve, the accidental landlord, is asking, and I'm not sure if you're even familiar with this term, and maybe Curtis can tell you his story. I'm not sure if you know Curtis's story either, but he can tell you his story a little bit. But Adam, in a perfect world, when would you want to buy your first property, and would it be a house hack? So are you familiar with what a house hack is?
I want to hear your definition, but my assumption, because my dad and I have talked about this, it's just slipping my mind. Is a house hack the, like, buying a property that is a fixer upper, and like one you work on to have it be a rental?
Let Curtis maybe touch on this, and Curtis can explain to you his story a little bit about house hacking.
Yeah, so for me, house hack can be a very broad term, right? I've seen people house hack the way that you just said it, where they buy the house, they kind of fix it up, and then they buy another one, turn that one into the rental. I've also seen it where people buy a house, they rent out parking spaces. I've seen it where they buy a duplex, live on one side, and rent out the other. That's probably the most common one. But basically, this house hack is you use your primary to make you money. There's lots of ways to kind of do it. The most common though is probably do a duplex.
Yeah.
But when I did my house hack, um, I started teaching as part time. So folks think that teachers don't get paid a lot their first year. Imagine being a part time teacher.
Yeah.
And so I saved up about a year and a half, and then I got the duplex. And then, but my side was 3 bed, 1.5 bath. I was single, no kids, no pets. I didn't really need all that space, but I didn't want to live like I was in college and kind of share space with everybody. And so I sealed up the primary suite because it had its own exterior door. So I basically lived in like 200 square feet, basically like a studio or tiny home type deal. And I
Yeah.
rented out the other two bedrooms to a couple. They were fantastic. They kind of knew what was going on. They can't go in my space. I can't go in theirs. I sealed it up. But if you know anything about a half bath, there's no shower.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no,
true.
yeah. So I had no shower. I had no kitchen. I had no laundry. And I did that for about a year and a half.
Oh, geez. I don't know how you did that.
Yeah, I question it at times too, but I didn't pay anything.
Yeah,
At first I had to pay a little bit, but once I did a rent increase on the other side, I was living for free. And
absolutely.
so that really set me up to now for where I'm at in the triplex that I just bought 2 years ago now. And so if you can house hack once, I'm not saying it has to be that extreme where you don't have a bathroom or like a kitchen, but if you just house hack once, it can really speed up the acquisition time.
Absolutely. That's actually, so to answer the question, ideally, my first house is out the gate of college. My dad and I were talking recently, and the idea of, like, mortgage assistance off the bat is not so crazy to him. Like, he would be willing to chip in, assuming I don't need help with school funds and everything like that. And the first thing would be probably a duplex, ideally, maybe a triplex. Which, by the way, I know I'm 2 years late, but congrats, that's huge.
Yeah.
Um, a duplex would be great, and house hacking like that, like essentially having renters pay or like a tenant pay my mortgage. That's pretty big too. So that's I think that's the answer to that question. Is ideally pretty quick out of college, hopefully within the first year or two. I only have this year and next year, so I'll be 20. I'll be graduating at 20, turning 21 that summer. And hopefully by 22 and a half, I have my first house.
And he didn't clarify it, but Curtis did shower. He did find ways to shower, so he was resourceful. So I
Good,
just
good.
want to throw that out there.
Yeah, so I teach PE. So in my office, I have my own teacher like shower in my office, and then I'd go to my mom's house, or if I was seeing a girl, I'd go to her house or whatever, and I just kind of just make it happen. And with laundry, it was a great excuse to go see my mom. It's like, hey, mom,
Yep.
it's a laundry day. But you had kind of described your dorm apartment setup. If you
Yeah.
just did that at your next purchase, or for your first purchase, but you would own the whole building.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
I don't know how you're living right now. But like I don't know if you like it, but if you can just continue that for a year, you could own the whole thing.
yeah. Well, so for the people that I don't think we had started the stream when we were discussing it, but for the people watching, this is my dorm room. It's all things considered, it's pretty big, but it's not huge. But I have my room right here, and on the other side of this wall here is my other roommate's room, and then we've got a living room, a kitchen, everything. So um, I live for a college student. I live pretty lavishly, and it's the cheapest housing on campus. So I set myself up nice there. I only pay 1,500 a quarter for my living, which is basically the equivalent of like, I mean, obviously not exactly. It's like 500 a month with maybe a little more because it's 2.5 months a quarter. But um, yeah, it's pretty awesome. If I could set myself up in a position like that, fresh out of college, where I'm living here and maybe not here literally, but you know what I mean, living in a room by myself or with a roommate, and then having somebody else in another one paying me rent, that would be huge. I mean, and I'd be willing to make the sacrifices I make now, like laundry and all the things I do, just, I mean, for steps in the right direction.
Yeah, and if you own the place, you probably install your own laundry too, so you don't have to go. Would you stay in that Bellingham area, or would you go back to Kitsap County?
That that is a great question. I love Kitsap. I like being close to home. My dad gives me crap all the time because I'm never around, and he's valid in saying that. I think being home gives me less excuses, you know. So it'd be nice to be in Kitsap. I do like this area. Housing is it's expensive out here. It'd be hard to buy my first house. I think. Maybe not. It'd be hard to buy it anywhere, to be honest, right now. But here it might be a little more challenging. Um, but like I said, I really like the area, and I could see myself buying property up here eventually. Um, I don't know how patient I would be with like owning a college house and renting to college students. I don't know if I could be that person. I've been to those houses, I've been to those parties, I've seen how gross they can get. Uh,
Very
but
low maintenance calls.
yeah, exactly. But I know that is an option in my future, and I am willing to explore that route for sure.
I see a question from James Hillis. He says, Adam, what advice can you give us to help motivate young people to invest? So I don't know, did your dad, like I said, did he motivate you, or you're kind of self-driven on this?
That So to answer your question directly, like I mentioned, my dad has inspired a lot of this. Like I wouldn't know half of what I'm talking about if it wasn't for him. He also taught me the importance of work. He taught me the importance of money. Like um, when we used to have three little jars. One was saving, one was spending, one was giving, and we had to split our money up that way. And that when I was working at the rentals and stuff, that's how I would split my money up, and I could do the things. Anyway, he inspired a lot of this. So to inspire the youth, I really think it is up to, I mean, not up to, but a lot of it comes down to the older generations, like really just drilling it. My dad says 100 times, I don't listen to him, but guess what? Here I am. You know what I mean? I hear him. I just sometimes choose to listen and sometimes I don't. And that's the nature of being a teenager. So I would say, I mean, don't be scared to lecture your kids or your kids' or your kids' friends. Like, be loud, let them know what, what maybe your idea of the right thing to do is. Because maybe they don't think about it right now, but 10 years in the future, they might be like, oh, I'm not doing as well financially as I wanted to. And there was that one time that guy said that to me. Um, and then, yeah, teaching the importance of, like, work, that's a huge thing. A lot of my generation doesn't like to work. I'll be quite honest, I don't like to work either. I'm currently, in this moment, unemployed, but I set myself up in a position where I know I could do that for a little while, and be okay. So, I think that, yeah, just kinda keep showing the right things to do, and hopefully they catch it.
I'm not sure if you know where Grandview, Washington is, but we got Flavio tuning in from there. He says the best mentor that you can have always will be your dad.
Yeah. I love my dad. He and I are if you I don't wanna overshare. He and I don't always see eye to eye. As a matter of fact, it is like 99% of the time we don't see eye to eye, and that 1% we do. However, he's a good man, he's smart, he's taught me a lot of what it means to be a man, and I'm very grateful for that.
Mm. Yeah, I had a very interesting day the other day. I'm about to have my lunch break. Finally, the kids are all away. I'm like, okay, I'm just enjoying my lunch, and then this kid comes barging in my room. I'm like, oh my goodness, can I have a moment, right? But then he's like, hey, Mr. Garner, I heard you invest, and I'm like, yeah. Why? What's up? Like, it's lunchtime. He's like, oh, well, I just had a couple of questions. I'm like, okay. And then this guy pulls out 3 pages of notes. He's like, hey, can you just read this over real quick and kind of see if I'm on the right path? And so I'm like, all right, man. So I look over. He had phenomenal notes. And this is a sixth grader.
Wow.
So he's probably 12 or 11 years old. And so I think it's also adults that pour into the kids, but also when kids show even a glimpse of interest, it makes it a lot easier to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say my 2 cents on that kinda situation is, I'm sure you guys know this by now, but my dad can talk. He's a talker. Sorry, dad, you're a talker. And despite it getting despite me thinking, "Oh, okay, another lecture," you know what I mean, as a kid, the reality of it is the more you hear it, the more you think about it. Like, so that's kind of my motto is like, yes, he drilled a lot of things into my brain, but guess what? I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm sitting here on this podcast talking, so I mean,
You know what works though? You get a buzzer and you buzz your dad when he goes over like 1 minute speaking because that's what he does to the rest of us. So we have this one call, and if anybody goes too long, they buzz people. So that's what you gotta do with your dad. If he starts talking too long, you just buzz him, and then he has to change topics or move on.
that's clever. I'll have to give that a shot.
Is there one question you really want answered while you're at the event?
Ooh, man, I wish I had one prepared right now. I'm mm, I think I'm gonna play it safe so I don't sound stupid, and I'm gonna say right now, I don't have that question off the top of my head, but I will be going to the event with lots of questions. I plan on sitting down with my dad beforehand and just kind of picking his brain, figuring out what I know, what I don't, and then showing up ready to learn. That's what I hope to gain most from the event is just learning opportunities. So.
Okay, so on that point, are you more excited about learning or about just being in the room with investors?
Ooh. Honestly, the learning. I think the whole point of going is to learn. I think it'll be really nice to get to know these people. Networking is huge. Clearly you guys know that, you know, but I think with networking comes the knowledge from all those people, and that's what I'm most excited for.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised on the people aspect because you know, like you always hear networking, you're like, yeah, all right, okay, like I get what you're saying, but I don't really get it yet. And then going to the event and talking to the people that either I met online, like Mark, or people just that are at the event that I've never even heard of, right? It's kind of hearing their stories and it's kind of like learning, but you don't even realize you're learning because you're just so interested in what they have to say, and then afterwards, like, huh, okay, I actually have a takeaway that I wasn't expecting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you think going to this event is going to be maybe more beneficial because, like you're saying, you're kind of like a clean slate right now? You know, you're younger. You maybe don't have any of these. I don't know if the right way to put it is bad habits, but all this other people talking to you about different types of things, right? So, do you think going in kind of like an open book is going to be much more beneficial for you?
Absolutely. I think almost every situation in my life, going in with an open mind is like the way to go. Um, with that said, like you mentioned, I'm hoping to come out of college like kind of back at base one. It's unfortunate, but that's I set myself up so I wouldn't be in debt by the end of college. However, that means I'll probably be at square one. So where to start from there is what I hope to learn from all the different people. Everyone I get the chance to talk to is like, what did you do to start? I'm gonna get to start over after all this, and I want to do it in the best way I can. So
Well, Adam, I don't think you'll be at square one per se because most people that start in or graduate, they think they're at square one, but they're actually in the negative.
yeah,
Like for me, I was in the negative, man. And now I've done a 180, right? And so it worked out, but oh man, it was rough.
yeah. I like to think without. I don't want to sound like uh, the word's not coming. I don't want to sound like cocky or anything. I know that I have the knowledge to not be in the negatives, I think. Well, hopefully, right? We'll see how I end up going at the end of college, but, um, I think that if I won't be in the negatives, I hope to be a little beyond square one, but I'm still gonna be in that first chunk of my life where it's like, "Okay, this is an opportunity for me to begin again, start new, start, building my portfolio if that's what it is, you know, working, making good money again."
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
someday.
and I think you'll find that this is the easiest time because for you to hit financial independence, I don't know what your bills are, but let's say it's $1,000, right? Well, for you to go create $1,000 of passive or you know passive income, it's not that hard.
Right.
But if you were starting off in your 40s and you had kids, or that number that you would have to hit would be a lot higher.
That's one thing my dad talks on quite regularly, and maybe he's mentioned to you guys, but, he says if he could do it all over again, he would start sooner, start different, you know? Basically everything an old man is gonna tell you in your ear, "Oh, when I was your age, you know," but,
He told me
he's
he wouldn't have kids. He said, I wouldn't
oh,
have
okay,
kids.
well,
No,
fuck
no,
off, dad. I mean,
no,
come on.
no, he didn't
You
say
love
that.
him.
He didn't. Curtis, so Alex, your dad is asking, what books would you guys recommend for someone Adam's age to read? Hmm.
I actually just for the holidays I gave my cousin a couple books. He just turned 18. He graduated in the spring, and he said, "Hey, I see what you're doing. Can I learn something?" And I said, "Okay, well, here's some books." So I gave him Rich Dad Poor Dad. Obviously, in our family, money's not really talked about like it is in yours. I said, "Okay, that will kind of shift your mind." And then I gave him Set for Life by Scott Trench as kind of like, okay, here's a mindset book. Here's a tactical book that actually gives you the steps with what to do. And I said, hey, if you want more, just let me know when you're done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you read any? I feel like you're probably more of an Audible book guy.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a generational thing or what, but growing up, I loved reading, and the more growing up I did, I started to dislike it. However, my dad will probably like to hear this, so hopefully he's listening in. But um, I've dedicated myself this year to a book a month. Right now, I started off with a book recommended to me that's just a random. It's not like a self help book or self help, you know what I mean? But it's just a book, getting myself started. My dad gave me his friend, I think you guys know him, Dion. He gave me Dion's book, and I plan to read that before the end of the year. But the idea is a book a month, with hopefully the hope that that'll start to spark my interest again, and I'll start reading more. My dad has given me 2 or 3 books now, maybe 4. They're all at my mom's sitting on my shelf, probably collecting dust, but I know the importance of reading them. I it's hard for me to start, so I need to start doing more.
Well, you do know that book is out on Audible now, right?
Mhm,
But
I
but
wait,
you,
Dion's book is?
yeah, it
mhm.
is, right? Didn't
I
it
Yes.
come out?
I
Yeah,
I did not
yeah,
know that.
just recently. But you can also bring the book to Vegas and get it autographed if you want. So Dion will be there, and you can also get it autographed. But Hyder is recommending The Preparation is a great book that focuses on diversified sample learning to be proficient and have a broad base from which to choose a direction of travel to provide value. Oh shoot! There, you know what? Hyder did have another question. Sorry, I forgot. Where was it though? It was about Adam. Does Adam recommend obtaining a TWIC card, Transportation Workers Identification Card? I'm considering this for travel more so than employment.
That is a good question. I don't know what that is.
Oh,
Uh, so
hmm.
if you guys wouldn't mind enlightening me, maybe I can give
No, I don't.
some
Yeah,
sort.
I
I
was
think,
just.
yeah, I think he asked that because you were saying that you worked at the port and your family worked at the
Mm,
port, so maybe that's what he was asking it about.
Gotcha. Yeah, I honestly am not the person to speak on that. I didn't do any travel, despite the pay being better. I stayed home because I was working and doing school. Um, I think my dad might be a better person. So maybe next time he's on, if he's on, or maybe he can chat, he can say something in the chat to respond to that. If you're listening, Dad, maybe chip in there. But yeah, I'm unfamiliar. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So you say you know the value of networking and you're about to come to this Vegas event, which is awesome. Are you doing anything in your local area?
Regarding just networking and things. Yeah. So right now with the way the school works, I should be careful what I say in case they've got spies listening. Uh, my my major, they only accept in the fall and in the spring. You can only be accepted into the major if you have a GPA here, which is kind of silly because I came as a transfer with my AA. I should be able to get into my major from there. However, that's not how it worked. Um, and that's okay. I made my workarounds. However, getting into the major is something that I've been really nervous about. Naturally, I mean, I can't guarantee they only accept a certain amount of people every quarter. So networking has been huge for that. I know you shouldn't always play to people, but I mean, actually, I disagree. I think you should always play to the people, and it's some people don't, some people do. So I've been making a lot of connections through my teachers, through fellow students that are already in the program, hoping to get my name out there and get in. Um,
Yes.
when I worked at the shipyard, that was a huge thing. The internship I did, I went around the like 13 different shops at the shipyard doing all sorts of different trades, um, and getting my name out there, talking to different people. That was the key to getting all the interviews for all the different shops.
Mm,
And by doing that networking, I set the record for work study interviews. I got 11 of the 13 interviews, which was huge that year
nice.
because only a couple, like there were a couple shops that said they weren't accepting people, but I got an interview anyway, which was huge. So
Nice. And great answer. I was more asking about the investing side, but that's a
oh
fantastic
yes, okay,
answer.
sorry. As far as investing goes, no, I'm really not here.
Okay.
I know I probably should be. Um, I just, to be quite honest, I don't really know where to start. I don't know a lot of people up here.
I will hook you up. I don't ever go up that far because for me that'd be about a 3 hour drive.
Yep,
I cut mine off at like an hour.
I hear you.
I'll go up to Bellevue or I'll go down to like Centralia. That's kind of my drive time. 3 hours would be a bit of a stretch, but I know some people that host events up there. There's Reaps, and then there's some guys that kind of do their own thing. But I think that would be helpful for you too because they don't know you, they don't know and your dad, so it'd be kind of your opportunity of like a fresh open.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you maybe after this,
Yeah.
if I have your number, so maybe we could
Yep.
text about that after this.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think your dad instilling maybe this thought of investing or your financial freedom, do you think learning this early changes how you view school or a career?
Yes. And I'm gonna be very careful what I say. Again, don't want the school spies to be listening, but no, I'm not. I college is a tool that is often labeled as a scam. You know, people say going to school can be a scam. A lot of people in the blue collar field will tell you that, um, and I hear where they're coming from. With that in mind, I don't think it's a scam. I think it's a tool. You just have to know how to do it. You have to set yourself up so you're not going into debt. You need to do these things. So my outlook on school has been very, very different than most people. My dad sat me down one time and we watched this video of a doctor that went to school, got into debt. He spends like the entire video crying, scared the shit out of me. I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to school. Like, that is terrible. In that same video, there was a guy that sold, or maybe it was a different video, but same like person that made the videos. Don't know why I did that. He restored lawnmowers through all of college, applied for every scholarship he could get, basically started with no money and got through school completely debt free. And that kind of woke me up. I since that day, my dad, I don't even know that he remembers this day, but that day to me was huge because I saw both sides. I saw, "Oh my god, I'm never going to school," and then, "Wait, this guy did it with 0 funds, like, absolutely nothing." So, finding the gap in between, that's where I see it. And then, as far as career goes, I think I've touched on a lot of that, but the idea that I don't have to work my entire life, or maybe I do, but to different levels, you know what I mean? I don't have to work for different people. I can choose to work for myself if I set myself up right.
So
Um,
I do see Beth Traversal tuning in the chat. So she is someone you should also seek out at the Vegas event. She was a year one and year two speaker at the event. So she is a top 1% agent in your area somewhat. But yeah, I would definitely seek her out, also pick her brain. But Beth, if you are still here, Adam will be attending the Vegas event. This is Alex Dutter's son. He's gonna take advantage of Zuber's generous offer for teenagers to attend the event free. And we're just picking his brain to see what his expectations are, and then we're also gonna, like I mentioned, we're gonna live stream after the event also, and kind of get your takeaways and what your thoughts were on it.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, go ahead, Curtis.
Beth is fantastic. I believe her team was voted the top team in Snohomish County, so not too far away.
yeah, nice to
Uh,
nice to see you in the chat, Beth. I hope to see you at the event.
your dad also says Curtis is the man when it comes to meetups and networking.
Awesome.
Ike Hobbs, who is in Kansas now, he said he's a firefighter in Kansas. He says the guy that got me into firefighting works there in Bellingham and has several rentals if you want to connect with him. So Ike will also be in Vegas. You can also connect with Ike at the Vegas event, and if you want that connection there. Mikey Buzztune, he's also in Hawaii investing in Pittsburgh with me. But he says, what were some things you looked back on and realize now and appreciate why your dad stressed importance on it?
Ooh. You know, there's a lot of things, and I know I've already touched on this, but I think I'll say it again. The importance of work is probably the most important thing my dad has taught me. Um, I genuinely would not be where I'm at without that idea. Um, and I mean, I feel like a more well-rounded person uh, with my work experience and with the idea that I want to work. I mentioned before, and I know you guys know it. My generation is kind of known for not wanting to work and pushing off real life until it's like, oh shit, can't do that anymore. And I don't want to be that person. And I think my dad has done a good job of teaching me how to not be that person.
Nice. And I know I look old there, Adam, but believe it or not, I am Gen Z. We're the same generation. So I definitely, definitely get it. Kind of on another flip side, careful how you answer this one. What is a financial or investing thing that maybe you and your dad don't agree on?
Ooh,
Have that long, man.
yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think of um
He wants his dad to still pay for the trip, so he has to answer this when we get back. He doesn't
Oh,
want
he's
to answer.
answering.
exactly.
He's
Yeah, yeah.
answering that. All
Um
right, all right.
there are a lot of things that my dad and I disagree on, and weirdly enough, this the idea of financial freedom and everything we're here to discuss, a lot of that is what we actually agree on most. Um so despite me saying, "Oh, I don't listen to my dad," and all these things, like this is where he and I seem to click the most. Like we discuss money all the time. If I have any financial questions, I go to him. And honestly, he picks my brain about some of that stuff too. And I don't have a bunch of experience, but I can tell him whether he's being stupid or not. So uh, it's, I think this is actually, yeah, this is where he and I see most eye to eye.
All right. Well, I am intrigued to see after you hear more perspectives or different strategies. If you're like, oh, okay, I'm leaning more towards this, even though my dad does that. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
nice.
So it looks like Beth says she's looking to connect at the event, and she's bringing her 18-year-old. She
Nice.
does say though her 18-year-old is not really into investing. She's hoping some of this will wear off on her. Okay.
Beth,
So for you, Adam, maybe for another teenager that might be listening right now, is there any advice or some thoughts that you would give them about maybe trying to get to this event, or even your thoughts about financial freedom?
yeah. Beth, this is a note directly to your daughter, or I said daughter. I don't know, son or daughter. Not sure.
Said her, we're off on her, so daughter, yeah.
Daughter. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I was kind of on the same boat. To be quite honest with you, some days I'm more on that boat than others. I think, like I said, generational thing. Um, my advice would be just to keep an open mind, hear what your daughter has in mind and say, "Hey, that's valid. Just know that this is an option." My dad told me a million different ways to do it. Um, and I told him no to every single one. And here I am talking to you guys. So clearly something stuck. It just took a little longer to hit. So it's same advice I gave earlier. And I'm sorry I can't be of more help, but just let her know it's an option. Keep talking about it. Don't let it go through the cracks. And I think she'll come around one day.
Mhm.
Nice. The accidental landlord is saying they recommend you read Dion's book before Vegas. It will give you a great foundation. Um, he also says, my family was old school. Finances were not talked about, and they always complained about their renters. Now the properties are their largest nest egg. Oh,
Interesting. That
Nice.
I wanna just quickly interject. I know that my situation is so rare. I especially with the older generation, I think finances were less talked about back then for whatever reason. I don't know if it was just a security thing or what. Um, and a lot of people don't have the uh, connection to the financial world that I do, and I gained that through my dad, which is why I stress so many times, like, keep having those conversations because I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for my dad lecturing about all these things. So Just
Oh
something.
yeah. So, Adam, I don't know if you know this, but I recently got my agent's license. So I've sent your dad a few properties, and I know whenever he calls me, I know it's going to be 45 minutes. And
Yep.
so, I, so I can only imagine living with him.
I gotta be careful what I say. He's watching,
Yeah,
so
yeah, he is great. He's done a fantastic job. I know I joke about him, but he's done a great job, and it's awesome where in you're at. So sometimes my students will watch my YouTube channel. They don't watch the full hour, but they'll watch the short. So let's cut this one up. If you had any advice, because I teach sixth through eighth grade, what advice would you give to younger kids?
ooh. What advice would I give to younger kids? I would say, first off, don't not turn in your assignments. That's the first step. Learning to do the work now will save you the stress later. Do your work, stay in school, obviously, all the things you hear from there. Financially, I would say look into right now, stocks and investments huge. If you want to get started, just look into some of the simple stuff. Start there. You're young enough, you can invest now. Do those kinds of things. It's fun. It's a fun way to dabble in money without really knowing a lot. Talk to your parents. Talk to your parents. Talk to your peers. The older folk around you. Talk to them. Uh, and learn to network. That's the biggest thing in all of this. I mean, sitting here with you guys, it really has. It's I've been looking forward to it for weeks now. It really is. Networking's the most important part. So get to talking and turn in your assignments. That's to the sixth and eighth graders and everywhere in between. That's my advice.
So I'm not sure if you're familiar also with kind of the layout at the event. So Zuber also pays big money for a podcast studio, which he allows a lot of his speakers to bring in guests or bring in people and collaborate on recordings. And I believe his hope is that Cody Davis is to convince some of you teenagers to enter the room with him and maybe do some recordings. So if you get that opportunity and Cody is going to do recordings, I highly suggest that you take advantage of that and jump into the podcast studio with Cody and share your story, right? I think that would be amazing. Yeah, like Curtis said, maybe let's wrap things up soon. But I want to, last question for me would be, what type of advice do you hope to hear? More tactical steps or mindset shifts?
Tactical steps, I think, for me. Uh, Granted, I will benefit from both, no doubt. But I think, as we've discussed, and as you'll come to see, the mindset's there. I want it, and I want it bad. It just comes down to what steps I need to take in order to do it. So that's that's what I think I'm most excited for. Um, but again, they work hand in hand, so both will be great.
All right, Curtis, you got anything else for Adam?
No, the life advice for the younger folks was kind of my last one. I was curious because he's not too far off from their age. They're more likely to listen.
I
And I think I would agree to Steve, the accidental landlord. He says, Alex, you have raised a smart, well rounded young man. You should be very proud. A clear reflection of your parenting style.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure he appreciates that. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
All right, this was a fun one. I'm glad your dad set it up for us. I'm really looking forward to the follow up though. So like I mentioned, we'll also be live streaming after the event and kind of get your takeaways from the event, what your thoughts were. Even if you, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't go a year four, right? Maybe maybe it wasn't for you, but I think you'll definitely have a fun time, and I think you'll have no problem talking to people, reaching out, like I said, networking. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait to meet you in person. Curtis, anything else then?
No, and that is it. Adam, I'm going to send you some events up there, and at least go. And if it sucks, tell me it sucks, so I don't send any more people. But I think you'll really enjoy it, man. I'm excited for your stories to develop.
And those of
Thank you.
you still listening, make sure you jump over to Curtis's channel. He was also streaming at the same time. So jump over there, go subscribe, hit the like button, leave a quick comment. But yes, I will wrap it up with Yasik and Mikey's final. So Yasik does say, amazing episode. Great to see future of America being open to learn. Yep. And then Mikey Buzztune says, future is so bright. So yeah, thanks all. Yep.
Yes.
Thank you all
Definitely.
so much.
So you guys can stick around. I'm going to end this. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. I will actually be back tomorrow at 7:45 a.m. Pacific with the one and only Justin Canberra, also in the Pacific Northwest. And we're going to have David and Morgan on, 9 to 5 investing couple. They have been on before, but they do sober living homes. And Justin, I think he's thinking about doing that. So he wanted to know more information and how they're winning in that. So we'll be back tomorrow live streaming also. But everyone, thanks for tuning in and have a great rest of the day.